up, YouTube? It's your boy Ziggy Doom. How's everybody doing? Yeah, I'm not doing so good, man. Yeah, this one's kind of rough. This one's kind of rough. Bears out the playoffs. They're out the playoffs. We've been eliminated. We lost to the Rams on a last second field goal in overtime, and yep, that's the season. I, we overachieved this year, so I'm not upset, right? I'm not upset, but you know how when you have something and you start to believe and you start to see it get better and you start like we just got so close and over we were overachieving and we beat Green Bay twice, put them out the playoffs, and we had the Rams at home, and you start to believe like, man, this is it, this could be our year, you know. But you have to be a realist, right? We have to understand that at the end of the day, the Bears was not a Super Bowl team, right? We weren't. If we would have beat the Rams, honestly, I think Seattle would have just obliterated us. But it just so close, man. Like it's been so long. Bears fans from the 80s, from the 70s, y'all know it's been so long since we've had that taste in our mouth. We went to the Super Bowl in 2006, but I knew Peyton. We wasn't gonna be Peyton Manning and them. I knew that, so uh, I wasn't even upset about losing that Super Bowl. But ever since then, we've been a bad team, like a bad organization. We haven't never had a franchise quarterback. I do not consider Jim McMahon a franchise quarterback. I don't. I'm sorry. So, and Rex Grossman definitely was. We had really good defenses that was able to mask our inefficiencies on offense, right? So this year, for the first time, we have a franchise quarterback and a really good coach, and it's just like, oh man. I mean, we had a lot of injuries, right? But injuries is part of football, so I'm not gonna blame it on that. I'm definitely not gonna blame it on the refs, right? That one controversial catch, he was down. So I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna be one of them conspiracy theorists to say the NFL is rigged, it's a script. Like, do you know how many people it would take to to orchestrate all that stuff? Like, come on, y'all. The moon landing is fake. Like, it takes too many people. It would take too much time and effort to orchestrate this stuff. So I'm not one of those people. If you want to believe that the NFL is rigged and all that stuff, that's you. I'm not one of those people. The Rams were the better team. They didn't commit a single penalty. They committed zero penalties. I need y'all to understand in the playoffs, that is what is important. Who makes the least amount of mistakes and executes the best? The Rams had zero penalties. Caleb threw interceptions. And, that's what happens in the playoffs. The least amount of mistakes, the best execution, that's going to usually win the games. Romo Dunze, that touchdown it was in the breadbasket and he didn't catch it. That's us, right? But I'm not mad, right? You got people that's mad and raging, and I'm not mad. I'm proud of the Chicago Bears. I'm a diehard Bears fan. A1, I'm Chicago everything. Y'all know that. I'm Chicago whatever, and I'm proud of them. I think we got some issues with the receivers. We're gonna have to do some shakeups, make some moves, but I believe in Ben Johnson. So I think we have nowhere to go but up from here, right? I think we legitimately can take the North, year after year after year. So that's what gives me hope looking forward. But it still hurt. Like I woke up today and I was like, man, am I gonna do a podcast today? Am I gonna even talk on this mic? But I didn't want to shy away from any viewers, any people that watch my content. And it's been a while since my last one. It just felt time. It was like, you know what, let me get on this mic and vent a little bit to all the people that watch me and the people that support me on my channel. So yeah, I'm proud of the Bears, man. Shout out to the Rams. They came, they did what they had to do. Matt Stafford, you give him enough time, he will dissect you. There's no way we could have kept Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams hold him to absolutely nothing for the whole game. I mean, we did, but then overtime came, and overtime's a bit different. Now, some people say you should have went for the two in the fourth quarter, but when your defense is kind of sparking, you get confidence in them, and it's like, okay, I believe our defense can go in there and stop them, which is what they did. But we when Caleb threw that interception, it was like, all right, it's only so much, man. It was just a matter of time. So Shout out to the Bears, man. We did good this year. I'm not too mad about it. Where my little cheer button at? Shout out to the Bears. Let's get into it, man. Get into a couple of topics. I try to put them in certain orders to where they're cohesive and make sense, but I don't think I could have like put these topics in the order that would really matter. So we'll just start from the top and go to the bottom. And the first thing I want to talk about is discipline versus addiction. Now, those are they kind of have they have similarities, but one is usually better than the other. Now, most people, let's just be honest, most people aren't disciplined. They don't have discipline. Discipline is when you do something over and over and over, knowing you don't enjoy doing it, but you know you're doing it for a purpose, right? Best example, going to the gym, eating right, consistently over and over and over because you want to lose weight and have a nice body. And most people can't do that. They will make so many excuses. It's so annoying when I hear people make excuses for why they can't do something or get something that they want to get. It, I and I have to be. I always have to be in conversations. I have to be the friendly, nice guy to do the pat on the back and say, "Oh, okay, I get it." Every single year, oh, new year, new me, right? I'm gonna lose weight this year. I'm gonna save up this year. I'm gonna buy a car this year. I'm gonna cut back on eating this year, whatever. And within a month or two, it's back to the same old. So I get tired of hearing it. And I understand discipline. I've I've been on journeys where discipline was required, right? Anything I've gotten in my life, I had to work for and I had to plan for. That requires discipline. And of course, it's not easy, right? If it was easy, everybody would do it. Nowadays, people just they take the shortcut route, you know. Well, I'm not gonna put in the work and time for this. I'm gonna just pay to have it artificially or speed up the process, you know. And once again, these are my opinions because Lord, I know how people get when I say certain things. You know, I've never been a fan of the fake it till you make it trope, right? If you don't have a nice butt, why would you get a fake one? If you don't have long, nice, I guess straight hair, whatever, why would you get extensions and weave and like why would you do that? If you have a blemishes on your skin, why would you put makeup on until your skin is flawless? And that's just me, right? Everybody knows how I feel about that stuff. But if you do it, that's fine. I've been old fashioned. I got plenty of blemishes, but that comes with time and age, you know, and stress. But it's okay because I don't want to have a perfectly flawless face. You know, I don't want to have everything on me just, you know, no kind of errors. My nails all smooth. I don't want that. That's not me. I don't feel right if portraying that person. Everything on me is natural, good or bad. So, but discipline is something that a lot of people don't have, right? And addiction is something that a lot of people do have, right? But you won't hear people talk about their addictions, especially if it's something that's controversial or may make them look bad or seen in a bad light. So I mean, on top of that, some people don't even know they have an addiction, right? They don't even know they're addicted to certain things. They'll say like, "Oh, I'm not addicted to that. I can quit whenever I want." Then quit. I don't want to quit. Okay, well, right. And an addiction is, I think an addiction is when you do something excessively till it impacts your quality of life. Now, you can be addicted to exercising, right? But even that addiction, you're if you overdo that because you can't overdo that, you're taken away from other parts of your life. And sometimes you have to be addicted at something or do it over and over to be great at it, right? Like Tom Brady. There's no way Tom Brady could have been the greatest quarterback of all time and the world's greatest father. There's no way. Something is going to suffer. One of those lives is going to suffer. And Tom Brady chose. I mean, he chose NFL career over the family life. And I don't listen. I can't judge that man for that. Tom Brady is the greatest of all time, as far as I'm concerned. But that's the sacrifice you have, and you also have to have a discipline. But you can't tell me Tom Brady wasn't addicted to football. You can't tell me that. So addiction, when it affects your quality of life, that's when it can be bad. I mean, like in Tom Brady's case, his addiction, to what he does, ultimately now he's a multi-millionaire, right? Greatest of all time. So it in that regard, it paid off. But his family life, right? His wife, his kids, that part suffered. And then on the flip side, you can have people like Rick Moranis. Rick Moranis was an actor. He had a child with special needs. And he was a pretty good actor. I don't know if y'all know Rick Moranis, you young bucks. He was a pretty good actor. He had movies. He was good at what he did, but he chose to give the Hollywood life up to be the father, right? So he gave up the fame to focus on his family. And in the end, his career suffered, but his family didn't. His family thrived. So that's the difference in these things. Now, when you have a good addiction, I should say, I don't honestly, y'all, I don't really think there's no such thing as a good addiction. If you're addicted to making money, because you're gonna trade something. If you addicted to making money, you're gonna sacrifice time because you're spending more time making money. And if you spending all your money if you spending all your time making money, then what your family, your personal social life, how are you having time for that? So I don't see any addiction that's really good. I think once you become addicted to something, you can do it without prompt, right? You don't really need discipline to be addicted to something. Addiction is without thought. You just do it. Sometimes you don't even know why you do it. Sometimes you go on autopilot and you just do it. And when you doing it and you know it's wrong and you still doing it, that's addiction. That ain't discipline. Don't get discipline and addiction confused. Discipline is something you do over time that you don't want to do. And addiction is something you do over time that you probably shouldn't be doing. So don't get those confused. Now, I guess you can have like I said with Tom Brady, you can have an addiction to discipline, but then you're gonna sacrifice something. You cannot be great. All these greats, the Michael Jordans, the LeBron James, the Tom Brady's, these business moguls, whatever, that started from the ground up, they sacrificed time. They did. Time that you can't get back, but it's a choice they made, and it's a choice that they can live with. And we can have our opinions about that, but we can't judge these people. But addiction is addicted to anything. I don't think is good. And most people, some people don't know they have an addiction, and some people do, and they don't know how to stop it. Maybe they have it, but they don't want to say anything because of shame. Or maybe they don't know they have an addiction, or maybe they know it, but they're in denial. That's the worst one, right? To know you have something, but be in denial about it. And it's really, if you're not sure if you have an addiction, try this. Whatever it is you're doing, stop doing it. Just stop doing it. Don't just stop. About a week, a month, 2 months, right? If you can legitimately do that, then it's not an addiction. It's not. I remember I used to play video games. I remember it was Madden 05. I'll never forget this. That was like an addiction that I didn't even realize until the end. And I once I realized it was an addiction, I had to stop. I was playing Madden 05 like 10 games a day. 10 games a day on my work days and 20 games a day on my off days. Because I was trying to get my rank up. This is a video game, y'all. In Madden 05, I was trying to get my rank up to be number one in the whole world, online. I don't know what. I became obsessed. Like I got really, really good at it. Really good at it. And then I got all the way up to rank 2. I'm probably still, if you Google rankings, Ziggy Doom, Madden 05, I might still be number 2, but I don't know. But my home life was kind of suffering. Like I would get mad when the person I was with, she had, I remember she came and sat on the couch next to me. She probably, I don't even know, I know she remember this. She came and sat on the couch with me when I had got off work or whatever, and she accidentally bumped the cord on the remote and pulled the game out, and I was in the middle of a game, and I ended up losing that game because it was a disconnect. When you disconnect from there, it's automatically lost. And she, she apologized and she didn't mean to do it. I know that, but I was kind of mad, and I'm like, why am I mad about a video game that my girl at the time, she knocked it over? Like, why am I mad about that? So that's when I started thinking, like, wait a minute, man, this is really. I started paying attention. Like, dude, on my off days, I get off work, I play 10 games straight. On my days off, 20 games straight. Sometimes more to get my rank up, my wins and stuff. So one day I was like, you know what? This is not even worth it. And then Madden '06 came out. So all the rankings in Madden '05 didn't even matter. So I stopped playing Madden. I stopped playing Madden '05. I just like, you know what? It's not even worth it. Because I was addicted. And I realized that I was addicted and I didn't want to be addicted. And so I just stopped. Now, it's not always that easy to do, to quit addictions. Like, let's be serious. Sometimes you have to hit rock bottom before you start to quit an addiction. And I think for me with that was the moment when my girl at the time had came in the front just to lay next to me, and she accidentally tripped over the cord and knocked the game out, disconnected. And I'm like, and I was mad. I'm like, wait a minute, really? So that was my moment. That was my rock bottom moment. But usually with addictions, you have to hit a rock bottom moment to give you time to reflect, because that feeling you have with that addiction, it sucks, and you don't want that feeling anymore. So sometimes you do have to hit rock bottom, and it's like, I don't want to feel like this. So you remember that feeling. So the next time the addiction comes up, it's like, man, I remember how I felt when I did this. I don't want to feel like that no more. So then and hopefully you stop. Everyone doesn't stop, man. Everyone's rock bottom is different. But it's something that is a real serious thing, and people aren't going to just openly talk about it, right? Because for whatever reasons, fear of being judged, fear of being, people criticizing, whatever. But people gonna do that anyway. So if you are addicted to something, we all have our vices, right? Just remember how you felt with that addiction when you were at your lowest, and if you don't ever want to feel that low or even lower, then you should probably work on fixing your addiction. But you got to admit to it. The first thing to getting over an addiction, you have to admit to it. You have to say, I'm addicted to this, right? And that's, people just aren't really built like that. So it's one of those situations where, am I really gonna open up? And you just open up, be real with yourself first. You can fool the world, but you can't fool yourself. Be real with yourself, and that can help curb that addiction. But discipline is something a lot of people don't have. But if you want anything good in life, if you want anything great in life, a good relationship, a healthy body, financial stability, generational way, you have to work at it. You have to put in work, and it will be uncomfortable, and it will be something you're not gonna like. But you discipline also, it creates muscle memory, and then you just do it. Once you get on autopilot with your discipline, you good. When you can just do it just like that, that's when your discipline, you at the peak of your discipline, and it's gonna pay off. It's gonna pay off. Just remember why you do it. Don't let nothing discourage you. And even if you relapse, right, just keep it to yourself and just start over. Because the only time you ever gonna fail in life is when you don't try. If you trying, you're not gonna fail. But now excuses, I mean, there's only so many excuses you can give until somebody just stops believing in you. Because if you're giving excuses over and over, you probably don't believe in yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself, there's no way somebody else can believe in you. Period. No matter how much they love you, no matter how much they believe in you, if you don't believe in yourself, then can't nobody else really believe in you. And once you start making excuses, I'll do it next week. Oh, this bad. Oh, this hard. Okay. Well, good luck, buddy. Because I don't have I don't have time. I don't know. I don't know what you want me to tell you. I don't know how to deal with excuses. But if you want to be great, it starts with discipline. It does. If you want to make excuses, then I guess you don't want to be great. So ah, child support. Let's talk about that for a little bit, man. Obviously, it's controversial, right? I was watching a video. This guy, he was he was. You could tell he was defeated, right? But in the video, he was basically saying, you know what, child support takes so much of my money to where I can't even live on my own. I have to live with someone else because I pay so much child support. So it made him feel some kind of way about his children. He was like, I don't have the mental capacity to establish a relationship with my children because of how their mothers put me on child support. So, and he was burnt out. And it was interesting because, I mean, in the comments, you see the same things, right? Well, you should have thought of that before you had kids, and don't nobody care, don't nobody feel sorry, it's your fault, right? The typical comments that people make when someone has an issue with paying child support. Now, my thing is this. I mean, I've been paying child support since the '90s. It is what it is, right? You have a kid with someone, you're not in a relationship with that person, you expect to pay child support. You can't set the amount. They don't work like that. Child support say, "Oh, you make this, well, we want this," right? You're not going to win that battle. So there's no point in arguing or even being feeling some kind of way about it. The minute you made a kid with that person, that is what was on the table ultimately, right? So you you kind of got 9 months to like, okay, well, yeah, it doesn't matter what they say. Yeah, I'm probably gonna be on child support. So that's a consequence of the choice you made with that person. We can all agree on that, right? We also can all agree that the child support system is broken because it was never designed to um it wasn't designed based on individual circumstances, right? They take a flat rate and a flat number and say this is what you pay. And they do that because when the parents can't agree on what needs to be done to take care of the child, then child support has to step in. So, child support they don't really want to be involved, right? They don't say, "Oh, you have a kid, okay, now put the other parent on child support." They say, well, if you coming to us, then that means you and the other parent can't reach an agreement. So now we got to do it for y'all, right? And we're not talking about nobody being egregious. We ain't talking about the people that are being malicious. We just talking about basic child support. A man and a woman have a child. The man and the woman not together. The woman, and the man can't agree on child, financial support for the child. So the woman or the custodial parent goes to courts and requests child support. That's all we talking about. So I was talking to my friend, and she has her opinions on it, right? And you guys, I had a podcast earlier where I was talking about how if a man didn't have to pay child support, right? If a woman had a kid and a man was able to legally say, "I don't want to take care of this kid, I don't want to have nothing to do with this kid," would there be more abortions? I think there would be. I really think more women would have abortions if they knew that they would not get no support from the father. So we were discussing it, and her stance was, a man has a kid with a child, he should pay child support. All right, I get it. And my stance was, well, if the man had a child with a woman and he told the woman, "Look, I know what we did. I know, I got you pregnant, but I don't want to have anything to do with this child because I'm really not gonna have anything to do with you." And the woman is like, "That's too bad. I'm having a kid. You still gonna pay child support." Well, if the guy was able to go to the courts and say, "You know what? I told her I don't want to have a kid with her, and I don't want to have nothing to do with her, so I'm not going to support the kid," and the courts were like, "Okay, cool," and you signed a piece of paper, I don't think that woman would have that kid. I ain't gonna say all women, but I think it'd be more women not having kids if they knew that they had to take care of them financially by themselves. So then the question came up: well, what if you switch sides? What if the roles, if you had a choice, right? If you had a choice between being the mother, or I'm sorry, being the custodial parent and having the child 24/7, morning, noon, and night, take them to school, take them to the doctor, take them to the dentist, morning, noon, and night, and you receive child support, or would you rather be the non-custodial parent that has a set amount of money in child support taken out of their check um, for the child? Which would you rather, if you could pick either role? I don't think she answered that question. I can't remember, but I know for me, I I'm still choosing the role of paying the child support. And the reason I say that is because raising a child on your own by yourself, morning, noon, and night, is probably one of the hardest things in the world to do. I I can't really think of much anything that's harder. Raising a child, wake up morning, noon, and night. You are fully responsible for that child. You know, getting that child a daycare, getting that child fed, getting that child dressed, getting that when that child's sick, appointments, school functions, all those. I I think that's way harder than paying the child support. So I'm like, look, if I gotta pick, I'll work and pay the child support. That was my stance on it because it's two different dynamics, and you probably have some people who will be like, oh, I'd rather have a child and pay the child support. And I don't know, man, because I don't think these people saying that realize how hard it is to raise a child by yourself. It's not a dog. You can't put them in a cage and go outside and play. They get sick. You just put a blanket on. No, 24/7. So I mean, think about it, right? If you had a choice, it doesn't matter if you were the mother or the father, right? You had the choice. You either the custodial parent. You could choose to be the custodial parent 24/7 with the child, morning, noon, and night, and receiving the child support, or the non-custodial parent that has to pay the child support no matter what. That child support is coming out. Which would you choose? It's kind of an interesting question, but me, I know me. I'm choosing, hey, you know what? Just let me work. Let me work my jobs. Let me, pay my taxes and whatever the state determines they need to take out of my check for child support, take it out. And in my opinion, that's easier. The single parent with a child, and it's so many variables, right? It's so many variables when it comes to um, children, to where it's not as simple as some people may think it is. And now that we talking about that, we can segue into my other topic. Children with special needs. See, a child with special needs is a whole different ball game than a child that doesn't have special needs. And special needs is more so like they need extra attention because of how they respond or react to their environment, right? So special needs, that's how special needs work. Now, when you have a child that has special needs, and keep in mind, we do not get to pick and choose if we have a child with special needs or not. If that was the case, most people probably wouldn't want children with special needs, right? Special needs require more attention by default. They require more attention. So now you have a child with special needs that you're taking care of morning, noon, and night. Yeah, that child support is a flat rate. It's a flat rate coming out. It don't factor in special needs. It's a flat rate. You pay it. It is, and you get whatever's left. It is what it is. When you're raising a child with special needs, it requires patience. And I'm telling you now, I'm telling y'all now, it's a lot of people out here don't have that patience. They don't, right? They do not. They do everything in the world except try and have patience to take care of that child, to understand their child. Everything in the world. You know, oh, well, my child is hyper. Well, let me give him medicine to keep him, calm him down. Right? Now you got a child that's walking around like a zombie. But hey, at least they calm down, you know, versus, hey, you know what? Before we go to putting drugs in our children, let me sit down with my child and have a conversation and get to understand. Like, okay. And sometimes, to be fair, medication is warranted. Sometimes, right? In small doses it's warranted to help. But sometimes parents do it just because they don't want to be involved. They don't want to deal with the kid. I don't want to put up with you. I want to live my life. I want to date my boyfriend or girlfriend. I want to hang out with my friends. I want to watch TV or whatever. That's where the problem lies. I have special needs children. I do not advocate for medications. However, some cases medication is warranted, some cases is not. And that depends on me and the mother. We have a discussion and it's like, well, okay, based on this, I don't think medication is warranted. I think we just need to have more patience and understanding with them and then go from there. And then sometimes it's like, okay, yeah, little bit of medication to help them levels is fine. And I do my own research on medications because I don't trust I don't really trust nobody. But when someone is getting paid to put a drug in my child to keep them docile, I want to know as much about the drug as I can, right? And you may say, "Oh, Ziggy, it's not that serious. You're overthinking it, or whatever." But guess what? This is my child, and I need to make sure what I'm allowing to be put in my child is not going to ultimately make it detrimental for them to grow up and function normally. See, if I give them medication that keeps them docile while they're under my tutelage, and then okay, cool, but then they grow out in the world and they can't function without this medicine. I think, in my opinion, I failed my child. Because I could have just sat there and talked to my child, like, hey, what's going on? What is this? Let's see. Let's discuss other options outside of medication. And I'm also open to medication. Like, hey, maybe it's warranted because they do this and this is going, okay, cool. But what I'm not going to ever be okay with, I don't want to take care of my child, so put them on medication. I don't want to take care of my child, put them on medication. When I was younger, I was, it was called hyperactive back then. In the 80s, they didn't know all this stuff, right? They didn't have the understanding. So you was just considered hyper. And a hyper child translates to a bad child. And what you do with a bad child, you beat him. That's just, oh, beat his butt, he'll sit down somewhere. That's just the ignorance of the 80s, I guess. And that was the thing. Now when I was given pills, sugar pills, that's what I called them. Sugar pills. They was brown, they tasted kind of sweet. But I didn't understand why I was taking them. I still woke up in the middle of the night crying. I still was hyper. So, I didn't understand that. But, getting older and you realize now that those were given to me to keep me quiet. It was just like, here, it's a shut up pill. Instead of dealing with me, just give me the shut up pill. But I'm not gonna do that with my kids. So you have to try to, when you have a child with special needs, you have to try to understand that it's gonna be different. They're going to have different struggles. They're not going to interact with other kids the way you interacted with them or the way you think they should. Maybe you were a normal child growing up and you did normal activities, but special needs children, they don't work that way. And you cannot understand that if you don't take the time and understand your child. My children that were raised under my tutelage, I got a really good idea of their triggers. I really know what their triggers are. And it's like, okay, I'm mindful of that. So let me make sure I can put them in environments that those things won't be triggers. Now, those things may not be triggers to normal people, right? For example, somebody, you win a football game, everybody celebrating. Yeah, ooh, congratulations. Now, a normal child wouldn't be bothered by that, but some children with special needs, that's a trigger. It scares them. They're afraid, right? They get anxious, things like that. So you got to be mindful of that. Versus, what you crying for? We just celebrating. They go, get out of here. You being difficult, blah, blah, blah. You're not understanding your child. And y'all, we as parents collectively, we backsliding. Because there's people that think they perfect parents. They think I'm a good parent. I'm a great parent. That's scary. How are you a great parent? What's your secret? Because I fail as a parent every day. I'm failing right now as I'm making this podcast. I'm still trying to figure it out, but I'm learning and I'm moving forward. That's what keeps me okay, because I failed, but I'm learning. Like, okay, well, this didn't work. Let me try this. That didn't work. Let me try that. And if it gets to the point where you've exhausted every option, then hey, you failed. I failed as a father. Tried everything. I don't know. But I tried. That's the most important part. But we we special needs children have to be treated specially. And some people don't even know their kids have special needs. You have people, oh, they just bad. Just beat them, whoop them. That's why they bad, because you ain't whooping them. How does that even correlate? A child is misbehaving. Why? Because they can't sit down? Because they're running back and forth? That's kind of normal for a child. So you don't want them to run back and forth and make noise. You want them to sit down and be quiet. So what do? You whoop them, or you give them a pill to turn them into a zombie, essentially. That's your solution? Versus, I created this child. Let me turn off whatever I'm doing and stop talking to whoever I'm talking to and have a conversation with my child. What is going on? What's wrong? Right? And I'm speaking from experience, y'all. I don't just say these things and I have no clue, because we have enough people on the internet that talk about stuff they have no idea about. I know from experience, it takes a lot of patience, and a lot of understanding, and you are going to sacrifice your personal time. But that's what we sign up for when we have these kids, right? I mean, you would think, if you're gonna push your kid out into the world, you kind of signing up for duties and responsibilities like that. That's how that goes, man. You're on that table and you pushing the child out into the world. All right. I mean, be frustrated about it. I get that. I get frustration. But when you're to the point where you want to give up on your child, not because you've tried and it didn't work, but because your child is interfering with your personal life, your social life. Nah, you messed up. And that's why I said in my other podcast, a lot of people shouldn't be parents. They shouldn't. Because the sacrifice is required. And if you're going to legitimately bring a child into the world without, not being in a relationship with the other half, they're already at a disadvantage. They're already coming into the world in a broken home, right? And we know statistics say children do better when they have two-parent households. So you're already choosing to bring a child into the world into a broken home. That doesn't mean the child can't thrive, and that doesn't mean the child can't have a good relationship with both the parents. And that doesn't mean that the child's custodial parent can't raise that child up to be a decent person. But we're talking about knowingly doing things that's going to put somebody at a disadvantage. That's a choice, and you ultimately have to hold your hat on that choice when it comes to the total outcome. Like, yeah, that was a choice you made. You knew that it was going to be a broken home, illegitimate, whatever, and you still okay. So that makes it that much harder when you have special needs children. And then some people, they put their hands on their children. They get frustrated and, hit their children. I think once you have to resort to yelling and hitting your child, I think at that moment you failed at parenting in that moment. I ain't saying overall, but in that moment. Once you got to go to yelling at your child and hitting your child, you have failed as a parent in that moment. And that if you do that more than often, then you probably shouldn't be a parent. You probably shouldn't be a parent. If you put anybody before your children, for whatever reasons, the children that you brought into the world, children, we're not saying adults, the children that need you, special needs children need you, your nurturing, your caring. If you put anybody before them, in my opinion, in that moment you failed at parenting. Because my mind, as little as it is, will not ever wrap around how you can put somebody in the street over your child. And people do it all the time. They put their friends over their children. They put their lovers over their children. They put their personal happiness over their children. They'll sacrifice something for their child before they sacrifice for themselves or someone else. I don't agree with that. I never will. And because children grow up, right? They grow up. And hopefully they see things more clearly as they get older and realize, wait a minute, maybe you wasn't the loving, caring parent that I thought you was. Maybe I didn't understand, or maybe I wanted love, and so I was willing to accept anything. But now I realize you was just waiting for me to get older so you can do whatever you wanted to do. And it's okay to do whatever you want to do, but you that it's not okay. 18 years from now, I can do whatever I want to do. No, what are you distilling in that child those 18 years there with you? Are you teaching them anything, showing them anything, preparing them for anything, or are you just waiting for them to become adults so you can say, well, you're an adult now, I get to live my life. I don't got to take care of you no more. I think that's wrong also. So y'all, if you really think about it, it's a lot of people out here that really shouldn't be parents, that's patting themselves on the back. And it's like, bro, you're not as good as you think, yo. I don't care what your friends say. I don't care what your family say. You coming up short as a parent. So, we got through those pretty quick, huh? Here's a little fun one I was talking to my friend about too. Sometimes, y'all, when I'm on my road trips driving back and forth between Texas and New Mexico, stuff just pops up in my head. I'm weird like that. I don't know, maybe I was watching a movie and it came up, but if you had 24 hours left on Earth, 24 hours left, the world was ending in 24 hours, right? What would you do? What would you do? Now, here are the parameters, right? You can teleport anywhere you wanted to, right? Like, let's say you wanted to meet somebody, right? Now, you can't teleport anywhere in the world like I want to go to Paris. No, I'm talking about to meet people, right? So let's say you wanted to see your grandmother in Canada. So what you had to do is you had to like type in a text on your phone. Let's just keep it and say, hey, I want to see you, grandmother. And then your grandmother gets that text. If she chooses to accept to see you, then you can teleport and see her. But if she says no, you can't see her. So with those parameters, you had 24 hours left on Earth. What would you do? Who would you go visit? This is pretty interesting. I know what people would say. Most people would probably say what? Oh, I'm going to spend all the rest of my time with my kids. I'm going to spend all the rest of my time with my family. But it's some people out there that want to spend some time with they lovers, right? Come on, y'all. Let's just keep it real. Let's just keep it real. Everybody gonna say, oh, my last 24 hours, I'm gonna spend time with my family, my mom, my dad, my siblings, my children. I'm gonna say hi to my teacher. But that last 24 hours, it's gonna be some people looking for their lovers. Like, hey, let me see if Derek or Christina, let me see if they're available. Send that text and then they reply like, oh yeah, you gonna tell them kids like, hey, I'll be back. Give me like an hour. Shoot. And even kids, man, like they want to see their friends and stuff. And you know what? It's perfectly fine. Because if you got 24 hours left, at that point, really, who cares if you get judged? Oh man, they didn't spend time with this person. They spent all their time with it. It don't matter. It's 24 hours, you'd be amazed. You'd probably be surprised at how many people would be like, all right, kids, I'm gonna be gone for about an hour. I got to go take care of some business out. You know what I'm saying? I think somebody doing that, right? Because you only got 24 hours left. Somebody in this world, they reaching out to somebody they had a crush on or something, had some relations with. I firmly believe that. So it's interesting, man. What would you do with 24 hours? And there's no wrong answer, but just think about it. Like, man, would I go visit my high school crush or the English teacher that I always wanted to, because if they accept it, then, you teleport there, y'all have a conversation. I'm not saying you can go teleport to anybody, right? Because Lord knows it'll be somebody probably teleporting to somebody to kill them or something, something like that. So the person, they get a notification. Hey, such and such want to see you. Do you want to see them? You can click yes or no. And you click no, then they like, you can't see them. You click yes, then they can, come see you. But that was an interesting one I had, man. 24 hours left. What would you do? Man, we was close. 2 more games. 2 more games to the Super Bowl. I think I'm a sulk for one more day. I'm gonna stay off of ESPN. I'm gonna stay off YouTube because all these experts are gonna say something and I'm gonna feel some kind of way about it. So I'm gonna stay away from those platforms for about 24 hours. I'm gonna play my video game, probably do some cleaning because I gotta do a lot of cleaning A lot of things this year, changes. But yeah, man, I'm proud of the Bears. But that's it, man. Thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for all that. I like to do my plugs at the end of the video because I don't want to do them all at the beginning. Right? Subscribe, like, share, do this, do that. I don't like to do it at the beginning of the video because it just seems disingenuous. I'd rather you guys listen to my message first and then do all my plugs. Right? Be sure to like, share, subscribe. Thank y'all for watching. Yada yada. But yeah, man, be sure to like, share, subscribe, leave comments. And until the next YouTube video, be easy.